Welcome back, everyone, to the fundamentals to gain inner peace. We are doing tonight's session number 28, Wednesday nights with Menachem Bernfeld. And we had a little break now over Pesach. And it's a good time to reflect how the experience went, how you experienced Pesach, to see what came up, and just to observe. If you can let me know in the chat if this is the first time you're here, or you can let me know where you're calling in from. I would appreciate that. Very good. So for those who are here for the first time, the recordings are available on menachembernfeld.com on the top left, which we have, I believe, 26 recordings. The last time, the recording didn't work, part of my journey. So, but the rest from the beginning, you can get a feel of what journey we're on and listen to the recordings. But I will do some quick review, and then we can go on tonight, a little bit of reflecting. So basically what we're looking for is to be able to slow down, to come back home. Like we discussed, that many people are running and live in the fight and flight modes pretty much the whole day, even though they're not aware. So by keeping busy, by doing things, or just doing routine, not being able to slow down and to start experiencing the moments. And we discussed why that is. It's not easy, and it does take some practice. And the reason is because when we do slow down, that's when we start experiencing whatever it is, and we start becoming aware. Now, if you become aware, you might become aware of things you don't want to become aware. That's some negatives. And again, we all have positives and negatives. The cup is half full or half empty. In every situation, there's always some positive and some negative. If we don't learn how to experience the negatives, or just to experience, but if we start experiencing some negatives, if we don't know how to just experience and stay there, then we're never going to have the opportunity to experience the positives. Very brief, like we discussed, the part of the brain, the amygdala, is responsible for the emotions. And it's just not possible to choose what emotion I do want to feel and what emotion I don't want to feel. That would be great if we could just turn on the positive feelings and turn off the negatives. That would be amazing. So we only feel positives and we don't feel the negatives. But the problem is that it's, if you experience, then you experience. If you don't, then you don't. We're looking to experience more positive in our life, to enjoy. We all have things that we have. We all have positives. A lot of people are in a situation, in a hard situation, and they feel that I don't have any positives, but we all have positives. And the only way how we can tap in to feel those positives is if we learn how to stop and how to connect to the emotions, how to experience, not to get scared. And it is sometimes uncomfortable, the negative emotions, but that's part of emotions. Once we can learn how to experience the negatives, we can start experiencing the positives. And that's really what we're looking for. So here we are on this journey, many different techniques, ideas that we discussed. And just tonight to reflect a little bit before we continue. Like I mentioned before Pesach, whenever you're out of routine is a good time to see what comes up, because routine is one of the things that keep us going, and so we don't have to think so much. I'm used to getting up, doing A, B, and C, going where I go, whatever, work, do what I need to do, come home, do what I need to do, and just go on and on and on. And in a way, it's easier because then I don't have to stop and think, stop to make decisions. I don't have to see anything different. I'm used to it. So it sounds good. But what we really want is to be able to slow down and not to feel that stress. You don't have to constantly be in that mode of the rat race. And after a while, you think to yourself, what's going on? Why do I feel so overwhelmed? And there are people even with beautiful lives, things that are not negative. They have a lot of positives, but they're not sure why. They're just not feeling good. Something is missing. And this can be the answer because they don't let themselves experience. And they could be very successful in life. Wherever you are, you can be very successful in business or whatever you do, but it's keeping you going because you don't want to stop. But after a while, you feel that stress. It's like the rubber band that's constantly pulling. We have to let it go. And even when we go to sleep, this is interesting. At least when you're sleeping, I would think you're relaxing. But if we don't learn how to stop and relax, many times you wake up in the morning with clenched fists and your mouth, you feel your teeth. You know, you are sleeping, but you're still under some stress, trying to figure out what it is. And that's really what it is. There are subconscious things going on. But once we learn how to go on this journey, to tap into our emotions, to understand what's going on, with some techniques, whether it's deep breathing, to journal, to stop, to be aware, not to be scared, and practice. After a while, we can start feeling the positives and the negatives and whatever it is. Interesting thought before I continue, I just had over Pesach, that the Yidden were in Mitzrayim. I saw this from A.J. Twersky, Dr. Twersky. He mentions that they had a slave mentality. Now, if you think about it, a slave doesn't, sometimes they can be very comfortable. You don't have to think of it as a slave working very hard, but it can be very comfortable. He has where to sleep. He has what to eat. He's taken care of. Yes, he does work, does his job, but he doesn't have to worry about anything. Doesn't that sound peaceful? It sounds amazing. And many people would say, I wish I can have such a life. But that's not what Hashem wanted from us. Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. And it's interesting if you observe what's going on. They had the high and lows, very high and very low, talking about seeing all the miracles they had in Mitzrayim and experiencing, spirituality. And then a few days later, they can be complaining about the food, the water, and the way they complain. Maybe we should go back. It's interesting to see those ups and downs. But the truth is, that's what Hashem wants from us. Because now he's connecting to us. When somebody's a slave, there's no one to talk to because this is his routine. This is what he needs to do. And that's it. Yes, it does look comfortable, but there's no one to talk to. I can't talk to you because you have to work for another person. You can't make your own decisions, your own choices. So Hashem says, come out of Mitzrayim. And now he deals with humans. We're not malachim. We're not perfect. And we have our ups and downs. And here we go. Sometimes We can be cranky. That's okay. And when we make those decisions, when you do have a moment that you want to connect and you daven, whatever it is, you talk to Hashem. So that's something that you decided. It's your own decision. And the next day you're not in the mood for whatever reason. So that's part of being human. That's part of it. And that's part of the growth. And this is the journey that we're on. So like I mentioned that in the email, for those who get the email, and for those who don't, can send me an email, coachmenachem@gmail.com, and I'll add you to the list. That's coachmenachem@gmail.com. Many people want to know, when will I get there? Okay, fine. So you're telling me this part of the journey is ups and downs, I should experience it, and it's okay. But when will I get there? So if you realize in the question itself, there's a little bit of anxiety. It's like, I'm not happy with where I am. Could you please help me get there? So it's another thing that we discussed, to be in the present moment, to be mindful. We don't need to get there. We need to learn how to be here, because this is where we are. Because even when we're going to get there, it's going to be a moment of, when you do get there, you're here. If we can learn how to be in the present moment, to experience the present moment now, the way it is, then that's the fight and flight mode. I'm not happy where I am. I have to change things. Things around me have to change. Then it's going to be better. When? Could we stop for a moment? And it could be people are going through some negative experiences in their life, which they wouldn't want. That's true. I'm not taking it away. But this is where you are. And there are some negatives. Do you have some positives too? Can you come up with some positives? And for those who are just starting the journey, sometimes it can be hard. But we need to start seeing there are always positives. Whether it's with journaling, write down things, even small things, a little bit of self-care, whatever is going on, wherever you are in your life, to be able to stop and experience the moment. And the negative comes right away. We have to learn how to bring in the positives. Yes, I do have negatives. I don't like it. I'm not saying you should say I like it. No, I don't like it. I wish it would be different. But as of now, this is where I am. And breathe. Continue breathing. Relax. Like we discussed, emotions flow. You let it flow. Don't hold on to it. Let it flow. But we're learning how to stop being in the present moment no matter what's going on, so that we can learn how to experience, just to experience. Once we learn how to experience emotions, whether it's positive, negative, or positive, we can start being where we are, and we don't need to get there. We don't need to get there. And like we discussed, you need a lot of self-compassion, self-love, to be able to accept ourselves where we are. And that can be hard for many, because those thoughts that come in, not good enough, things need to change, I need to get better, sounds like a positive thought, but first be okay with who you are, where you are right now, because this is exactly where you need to be. And wherever this is, if you're listening to the recording 2 weeks later, or even a year later, this moment, you are exactly where you need to be. And the only way how to grow is if you can first accept and love yourself where you are. That's a strong, it's a strong word. And I know we mentioned it when you say, I love myself. It's hard for people to say that. But eventually, after having self-compassion, understanding yourself where you are, the only way you can grow is by being okay with where we are. So let's take a moment to stop right over here. Reflect back on the 2 weeks that we had some out of routine, whether it was a vacation or not. Maybe now you're looking forward to go on vacation. And it's okay to escape sometimes. I'm trying to bring you back into the moment, living in the moment. But sometimes it's hard, and it's okay. You want to read a book a little bit, do a puzzle, you want to disconnect for a little bit, that's fine. But as long as you're aware, you come back and you can learn how to stay in that moment. If you can share in the chat, just you can put in positive, negative, what you're experiencing the past few hours or maybe the past week. Are you on a positive track or in a negative? You can put in an N or a P, whatever it is, put it in the chat so I can see where you are. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Beautiful. So as usual, we always have both. Some people are in a positive state and some people are in a challenging state. It's not easy, and they would wish if things would change. But this is where I am now. It can be very challenging, and especially now after the 2 weeks, some people feel relief. Some people feel they have to get back to work. For some people, it's easier to get back. Some people, it's harder. And we've seen that during COVID. Some people loved it and some people hated it. It's interesting. We're all different. And everybody has their own experiences. And beautiful. So I do want to mention that we discussed in the past, you have, it's a good idea, and I would say you have to have something to hold on to, whatever techniques you're using, whether it's journaling, doing some deep breathing, if you had your quiet time, walking a little bit in nature, doing some tapping, the self-havening technique, sit and observe your thoughts with a smile on your face, or some positive affirmations, whatever it is. You don't have to do it all, and you don't have to do it every day, but it's something that is a good idea to put into practice, put it into the routine, so that part of it is bringing you back. We discussed routine takes you away, but we can have some things in the routine to say, stop. Let me take a few minutes and breathe. Let me take a few minutes time out and come back to where I am. What am I experiencing? And in the beginning, yes, it's going to be hard because there might be things you're running away from. But you can come back to it and breathe, learn how to stay there for a little bit in the beginning, and then to continue. Basically, a quick question, there are many people who, and even if you're on the journey for a while, but for the beginners, there are many people that would say they're fine. Baruch Hashem, things are good. And when I hear that, I sometimes try to figure out if it's an escape, because we don't want to have too high expectations, because I don't want to fall. So we don't want to get out of our comfort zone, like our routine, what we're familiar. We stay in that box, in that circle of comforts, because I know what to do. I don't have to think so much. I don't have to make any decisions. And this is where I am. But I would challenge you, and I would ask you, how high are your highs and how low are your lows? Because going out of your comfort zone, that's really where you feel alive. Doing something different in your day. In the beginning, you might feel anxious, like, I don't know if I could. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So you start seeing those emotions come up. It sounds negative, but really we can have some excitement, like it's something new. You have never tried. It might work. It might not. Let's try it out, something small. So living in our comfort zone could be, that's like slave mentality. It's like, I know what I'm doing. This is this is who I am. This is what I do. No changes. I'm good. But it could be you're just escaping from growing, from going out there a little bit bigger, a little bit more, and to bring some excitement in your life, something different. And yes, you will feel feelings. You know, it might be fear of failure, but it might work. And if it doesn't work 100%, it might work 90 or 80, which is amazing. We're not looking for perfect over here. And that's the way to grow. So it's being able to stop and say, interesting, what would be something that I would like to do? You start getting those juice, you start cooking it up, start thinking different and seeing, maybe I should try this, maybe that, maybe I should make that phone call. I'm something I'm pushing off, telling yourself you could do it, it's fine. And slowly you can expand, you let yourself get out of that comfort zone. And that's really where growth comes in. And that's where you're going to experience positives and negatives. Like it works together. But you can be able to tell yourself, it's okay. I'm okay with failing. Not easy. We don't want to fail, because what happens when we fail? We start seeing ourselves as a failure. Well, that shouldn't be that way. Most people that accomplished in life was after failing. And what they say is learn how to fail big. The more you can fail, the further in life you'll get. Try it out. But I'm not sure if it's going to work. Okay, but it might work. How would you know? Not trying is failing for sure. So try it out. So that's inching out of our comfort zone. And talking about feeling alive, feeling better with ourselves when we try new things, getting out of our comfort zone, feeling those experiences. And again, it's not coming because I am not happy with where I am. You have to turn it around. Some people think, I need to grow, I need to do things because where I am, it's not good. I have to be better. My neighbor is better, so I have to, and I have to please others. That's not coming from a positive place. I'm okay with where I am. I'm okay with who I am. And I'm enough, and I'm fine. And if that's the case, I can do much more. I can continue. I can get out there, because if I fail, that's not me. I could fail, that's okay. Nothing happens if I fail. And before we end, I want to mention, a lot of people bring in emunah and betachon. And it's interesting. You might say, this is where I am because this is where Hashem wants me to be. And if he wants something else, he'll put it in my lap. But if you're really living with emunah and betachon, then you wouldn't be scared. Those fears would fall away. You would have a much easier time to get out there and do what you would like to do, grow, take the next step on your journey, because it has nothing to do with you. We're only doing hishtadlus. We're only doing the actions. And what happens is up to Hashem. So do we really believe that? If you really believe that, then you would be able to go much further in life. You wouldn't be scared. So those fears would fall away. So it is important. I know we do grow up. Many of us grow up believing in Hashem and trusting in Hashem, but then we need to see practical. See, do we trust? Do we really believe? And if we're scared, what are people going to say about me? What do I think about me? And how much of that is the connection to Hashem? So that's very important. So before we end, let's take 2 minutes, a deep breath. Your feet on the floor. Shoulders come down. Just feel your body, what feelings you feel, whether it's tingling, stress, wherever it is, your fingers, your stomach, maybe in your head, your cheeks. Take a deep breath. And if you do feel anything, anywhere in your body that feels a little bit tense, put your focus on that part of the body. And just breathe and feel it. We're not running away from it. We're putting our focus on it and breathing through it. For example, if you feel it in your shoulders, put your attention on the shoulders and breathe all the way down to your shoulders and out. In with fresh air and out with the tension. Beautiful. So this is just 60 seconds and you can feel already the difference it makes on your body. We start experiencing feeling, and we just with a few words, just with a little bit of relaxing, you feel it in your body. I hope you can do it more than 60 seconds. I hope you can put it into your day, maybe even more than once. Just spend some time relaxing, deep breath, whatever works. And you can journal, use whatever works for you. And that's it for tonight. And I'll see you, Mitzvah Hashem, next week, Wednesday night. Again, for the recordings, go to menachembernfeld.com on the top left. There's a button there. You can get the recordings. And hopefully this one will be up there soon. Any questions you can put in the chat. And if you want, you can ask live. Feel free and raise your hand. Any feedback you can put in the chat. Let me know what you experienced. And for those who are asking if things are going to change, usually things change. I know you want to change now, right away, if you're in a challenging situation. But just to be in the moment and feel, usually things change. And you can look back at your life, different challenging situations and how things changed. It's a good way of, seeing how it's not always going to be this way. And for those who, while we did the breathing or whatever, the relaxation, negative emotions came up, that's part of it. Don't be scared of it. There's obviously, those emotions are inside. We need to release. And when we stop to relax, that's what comes up. So you can listen to the recordings, how to experience those negative emotions. Stress, anger. Exactly. These things come up. But if we let these things come up, we will find some positives there too, because feelings are feelings. And we have both. So thank you very much. And I'll see you next week, Wednesday night. Have a good night and a great week.